Hey everybody, it's been a little bit since we put a video together, but I wanted to put one together today. It's almost the end of April. Things have been very busy on the homestead. We have our wonderful little baby girl who's sleeping with me right now, keeping us busy. And then also everything with the garden growth is obviously happening quickly here in Georgia. And I wanted to show you guys a little bit of what was going on. I was gonna have Sierra say hello. She's doing yoga in the gym, currently doing some wall stretches. We've been enjoying the gym. And then also, I guess while I'm right here, I'll just show you, we've opened up our chicken run. So basically we've taken the fence down on the back side of the chicken coop there and just ran one on that side of the shed to the deer fence, and then this one up just to the house. So basically the chickens have full range of this side of the house all the way up really to the front yard. And it's not proven to be an issue as of now. Wiley, our dog, is not really wise enough to go around the front of the house to find them. And then they have plenty of space to forage here, and we just feel better about giving them some space. It's also encouraged us to get more chickens. So we're just looking around for that. And the geese are going off on the lake. But everything is flourishing right now and growing, and it's just keeping up with everything. Our clover that I seeded last year is just starting to take off down here by the lake. We have a lot of red clover as well that I'll show you guys. So I'm just going to walk you through the gardens, the orchard, the farm stand, and show you everything that's happening. So everything is constantly evolving in the gardens, but slowly the infrastructure is getting there. So we have almost all the beds planted, and we've actually started to succession plant some of them. And basically we brought out all our seedlings, some that were past due that we didn't sell at the farm stand, we've thrown in our beds. We've got our cucumber trellis up with our cucumbers, and a lot of our lettuce is ready. Potatoes emerging. We have our second succession of beets coming in, our climbing sweet peas, which we've been harvesting. And today I'm actually harvesting some fava beans, which I'll show you guys here in a minute. But yeah, all the beds are looking really, really wonderful. There's definitely a lot that I've learned this year about, especially with our first year no dig, getting the soil health and the soil up to where we'd like it to be. It's probably going to take a couple years, but it's proven to be pretty wonderful to work with this year. And then also we have our new 3 stretching beds over here that are coming up with all sorts of stuff, all our summer veg. So I'm going to show you guys some of these beds here, and then also walk you through the orchard where most of the peaches actually made it this year. So we have peaches, nectarines, we have apples all over our apple trees, which I'm really excited about. So we avoided that last frost. And then also all the other trees, pear, pomegranate, plum, everything's growing really, really well. It's just a matter of time before we, in a couple of years, hopefully start to see some really progressive fruit on those trees as well. So let me walk you over to the fava beans, and I'll show you what I'm doing with that harvest. While I'm walking over there too, I'll show you guys here, this Three Sisters row is doing very well. We lost some of the beans and stuff in the cold, but the majority of this bed is super full, and we have the beans starting to kind of attach to the corn, and the zucchini and different summer squash we have in there is doing well. It's 2 rows of corn, and then the beans and squash, and all the transplanted corn did really, really well. So I was really happy with that. I know that transplanting corn is not the typical way of doing things, but it was nice to give it a head start in the greenhouse and then get it outside. And it proved to do really well. So then we have our middle row of more zucchini, watermelon, okra, and then this other row is all kind of our, I call it our Italian row. We have tomatoes, peppers, and basil. So that'll be great for all our sauces and things of that nature. So a lot of this time of year, as I mentioned, is just keeping up with weed pressure, and also just working on the planning behind succession planting these beds. So being ready to harvest what's coming in, taking notes on what's doing well and not doing well, and where and why, if you can decipher it, and then also just getting the new seedlings started. So it's a lot of planning, a lot of prepping, But this year it's a lot of just figuring out what's working for me and our schedule and whatnot. So I'm excited to harvest our lettuce. We have baby bok choy, which is ready to go. Onions are doing great. Carrots are doing fantastic. Beets are doing really well. I'm excited to see how some of those do. And then we have chard coming up nicely. The sweet potato bed and tomatillo bed is doing really well. Those have started to creep up, so sweet potatoes kind of covering the bottom, and then I'm going to see how tomatillos do mixed with those. So we have all that going, and I'm going to get to the fava beans here in a second, but also I'll show you guys our compost piles. So I was very happy to get some new loads of mulch, broken down wood chips in. So I have 2 massive piles of those. I went ahead and have added some fresh grass clippings, which we have in abundance this time of year, to the existing pile, which I was going to be done with this pile, but I wanted to get that temperature back up to 140 because I started to notice some weeds growing in there, and you don't want that, especially when you're adding that compost to the beds. So the soil looks really, really great, but I want to add a bunch of hot nitrogen to that, get the temperature back up to 140 where it'll kill those weed seeds, keep it watered and mixed. Right now we're at about 115, so that just started creeping up since I mixed those in. I'm going to go ahead and keep adding grass to that till we get it up to 140 for a couple weeks. And then I've gone ahead and started the new pile, which will be for not this fall, but the following fall, maybe even some in the spring. This is all wood chips, leftover leaves, grass clippings, and I'll start adding to this as we're pulling from the garden this year. And that one's up to 115 as well. So we'll just keep building on that pile. And ideally within the years ahead, have to do less and less supplementing with compost. So I have a pile here that I'm working with as we get our new daylily beds in. But I'm really excited to start having some good turnover with the compost piles and hopefully see the size of those grow in the coming years. So today, as I'm finally walking to the fava beans here, we were able to plant some of the remaining seedlings that I had for our summer crop, which is all sorts of heirloom melons, watermelons, and cucumbers. So we have seedlings that are going to go in the farm stand, which I'll show you guys in a minute. And then we also have planted most of these beds with some of those seedlings as well. So that helps. Just as we pulled the garlic out, which we did recently, we've now filled that back in with some new veg. We'll get some trellising in here and keep everything moving. And again, we only add compost really in our nutrients, organic nutrients in the fall. So I'll try that method for the next year or two and see how everything goes as we're building up the organic matter in these beds. So I'm excited about that. Try to do some of this here as I'm sitting here. But yeah, the fava beans, really excited about these. So these were planted in October, and they're a great nitrogen fixer, especially in the colder months, and they make it through the winter here. And I did cover these at one point, but honestly, unless you get a super freeze, which we don't typically hear, they did pretty good. So now they've gone through the winter and they're kind of coming to completion here, and we've got some really wonderful beans that I'm plucking. So these could be dried or cooked as they are. You could eat them when they were smaller, you could eat the pods and everything, but now I would let these dry a little bit or take out the beans from inside. And we may use some of them to cook with, and I was actually contemplating selling some this year at the farm stand, but I think what I'm going to do in an attempt to collect as much seed as we can this year and save on some of our seed spending for the years ahead is to save all or most of these big pods and beans, dry them, and then plant them next year in most of the beds, or a good majority of the beds, so that we can add some nitrogen fixers or cover crop to the beds in the fall. So the beauty of that will be that next year we're going to have 10 times as much fava beans, because I'm going to collect this seed, dry these, and plant them next year in a good bit of beds, and we can do kind of the same thing but on a bigger scale. So just a little bit of saving for next year, which I think will be beneficial. And of course we'll try some of these We like to make full mudamas, which is a Mediterranean Greek type dish where you cook beans, mash them up with oil, lemon juice, salt, other types of vegetables. It's a great dip with bread, and also very healthy. So we'll probably take some of these and do that. But the rest of these I'm gonna dry. And of course, this was only a handful of plants. Yeah, I didn't have very many of them. So, and we're getting a good harvest here, plenty of beans to plant next year. So I'll look forward to doing that as we're learning. And then some of these, I'm gonna leave some of these smaller plants where the pods are still not super plump. You kind of want to wait till when you're squeezing those, they're not bouncing back on you. That's a good point of finishing. And also the fuzzy nature of the pods kind of goes away too. So that's a good time to be harvesting those and getting nice full beans. So this one plant almost finished out and I harvested a good bit of it, but I'm going to let that continue. And then also these smaller plants, I'm going to let them go a little bit longer just because I don't need the space right this minute. And we still got a good harvest from those, and I'll go ahead and start drying some of these beans. So we'll start there, and let's go take a look at the farm stand. And while we're making our way to the farm stand here, I'll show you guys the first of the daylily beds, which we'll be planting. We have probably close to 800 daylilies on the way, which I'm excited to get planted here in this lower part between these mounds. And I've gone ahead and laid the plastic. Of course, the wind got a hold of it here, but you can see how the grass is starting to die back. And I've already started to lay some cardboard. So we're gonna do the no dig here, of course, get this topped with rows of compost and mulch for our beds and pathways. And I do have a couple things I need to figure because there's swales here at the lower end under those mounds, and I just wanna make sure we avoid any wash away of the compost. So I just have a little bit of planning to do, and of course, get some of the weeds out of here too, which is just a constant battle in the first couple years. And ideally we're going to get enough mulch on these mounds that we start to eliminate some of that. So lots of daylilies on the way. These beds have been, I'm excited to do them, but of course an overwhelming project. So it'll take a little bit of time, but we have till the second week of May here to get that first area ready. So I'll show you guys progress on that as we get there. And here at the homestead, we do a no mow May, which is our time to celebrate some of the wildflowers that we have here in Georgia, and let those flourish and bring in the pollinators and the beneficial insects, and also provide habitat for some of the other critters around here. This is a nice section we have off our second drive down by the farm stand, where we've actually mowed a nice little pathway through there, you'll kind of see, and we've named it Wiley's Way, which we have some signs that we're going to put out that we made painted and made. So that's a nice way of kind of enjoying those wildflowers and celebrating that diversity in biology. And we're going to let that go and then decide how we want to do this. Sierra and I kind of had an idea of maintaining this and planting some trees and different daylilies and different things along that walkway. So we'll see if we get into that. But a part of the fun of this property is it's like a canvas, and we get to continue to design and plan. But a lot of it I kind of already see, so we're putting that to work. And then here's the farm stand. We've got everything set up. Of course, it's slowly coming together. It's not fully weatherproof right now, so we are just getting that all set up, and then still waiting on some produce on our end, but a lot of great local vendors. And then of course this is going to be backwards. I'll show another version of this, but great local muralists went ahead and painted our sign on that, and we have one also going out by the road. So it's coming together, and had a lot of great local support and folks coming on Saturdays when we're open right now. Neighbors and friends and all sorts of folks that have really been supportive of what we're doing. So I'm excited to see this continue to evolve over the next couple of years. And just a quick walk through the orchard with you guys. It's really grown up this year. We're excited about it. So we kind of have turned this into a food forest where I do mow some pathways through and let the mounds and the swales kind of take over from there. But we have about 20 fruit trees in here, which are doing really, really well. A lot of peaches on those trees, and then scattered throughout is a lot of different flourishing stuff, but we have berry bushes, blackberries, raspberries, all sorts of different flowering plants, medicinal and just there for pollinators as well. So this is going to be a wonderful little haven of biodiversity and an area where we can harvest from, but also give back to the wildlife. So I'll kind of show you guys through this, but excited to see this develop over the years to come. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. If you feel motivated to, I appreciate it. This is our April update of the homestead and everything we have going here. And I'll be excited to show you more of the produce and everything that we do here in the summer ahead. So stay tuned. And yeah, thank you guys again for all the support. Busy road. Hopefully that's good for the farm stand. All right, be well. See you soon.